boys and girls. So today in math, we are going to talk about cutting things in half and looking at big, small, medium size shapes. And then we're going to talk about left and right, which can be a little confusing. So we're going to start with looking at half of things. Now, boys and girls, you can have half of anything. You could have half if you're at snack time, maybe at home, and your mom and dad split a banana in half for you and one for your brother and sister. You have half, and they are the same size. So boys and girls, it's important to look at how one half and one half of something become one whole, right? So that's one whole banana that we just cut in half. Now, it doesn't really change the taste of it, or it doesn't really change the size of it. It just cuts in half, right? Or if you had a piece of paper and you were splitting it and you wanted to share it with your friend, you would just cut it in half and you would both have the exact same size of paper. You could just have one and Miss Gish could have one, right? So we have so many things that we could cut in half. Or you could even do something where you're in school. Now, boys and girls, you probably shouldn't cut half of a pencil, but if you had maybe a crayon and you were okay with splitting it in half to give the other half to one of your friends, you could do that. So boys and girls, we have so many things that we can cut in half, and they are the exact same on either side. So today in math, I'm going to show you that you can do the same thing with shapes. So if we were to cut, but I can't actually cut my whiteboard in half, so I'm just going to use dotted lines. If I was to cut this rectangle in half, it would be the same size on either side of it, right? So we have a rectangle, but it's just cut in half now, and now you have two rectangles, right? And then if I was to cut my triangle in half, you would have just half of a triangle, which could kind of look like a right triangle for some of you that know what that means, right? So it's just half of a triangle. And then if you would do the same thing with a circle, you can cut the circle in half, and then you would just have half of a circle, right? So boys and girls, it's the same thing, and it's not like you're getting another shape. You're just cutting it in half, right? Just like I would cut my banana in half. Now, some things you can't cut in half, like I can't cut the marker in half, because then it wouldn't work. Or I shouldn't cut Miss Gish in half, because then I wouldn't be here, right? So we got to think about these things and still be practical, right? So it says on the worksheet that we're going to work with coloring 1/2 of the small rectangle yellow. Now, boys and girls, let's stop and think about one thing. When it says small, does it mean that you're going to color something that's super, 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 super big? No, small means the smallest one that you see. So if I were, let's see, here's my eraser. If I were to so these are circles, and if I were to ask you which one is the smallest circle, I would like you to point to it. You should be pointing to this one, right? This one was our smallest circle. And if I were to ask you to point to the biggest circle and color that one red, or like it says on the worksheet, it says the largest circle. So the largest would be this really, really big one, right? So when we think about large, we think about big, okay? And what is the one in the middle called? What is that one called? It's called the medium one. Good job, boys and girls. So we have small, medium, and large, right? So we have those 3 different sizes that we can have in a shape or in anything, right? You can have a small banana, a large banana. You can have a really, really big piece of cake, or a really, really small piece of cake, or just a medium size, which is kind of where Miss Gish likes to stay, in the middle, right? So boys and girls, I am on lesson practice 115, so 115, and I'm looking at the top and it says color 1/2 of the small rectangle yellow, and then it says color 1/2 of the medium rectangle red, and then it says color 1/2 of the large rectangle blue. So boys and girls, you can do that right now, and you can pause me down below. Or boys and girls, if you want to stop listening to my video and you want to do the worksheet by yourself, you can do that as well. So once you get that done, boys and girls, we are going to do a little rhyme about our right and our left hand. Now, boys and girls, I might be opposite because I'm in a camera, so I want to see if I can do this. All right, you ready? So, this is my right hand, I raise it up high. This is my left hand, I touch it to the sky. Right hand, left hand, roll them together. Left hand, right hand, pound, pound, pound. So, boys and girls, right hand and left hands are really, really tricky. And I remember when we were in Miss Gish's classes in library, and Mrs. Heater taught us that if you put up your fingers and it makes an L, that's your left hand. So your L would be your left hand, and this doesn't make an L, right? So, boys and girls, it's a good way to think about it, because on the worksheet, it asks us to color the right half of the triangle green. So if it's the right half, it's going to be the one where your right hand is closest to it. So if you put your hands on the paper and you remember, raise up your right hand, touch it to the sky. Raise up your left hand, touch it way up high, right? So you got to put it down on the piece of paper and you can look at it and go, which one's my right hand? Miss Gish remembers it by she wears the ring on her left finger, but some of you obviously don't have that yet. So you got to put it down. And you make your L on your piece of paper and you say, okay, if it says color the right half of the triangle green or circle green, your right hand is going to be closest to that half. Okay? And then it says color the left half of the square orange. So if you look at your piece of paper and make your L's, the one closest to your left hand, that's going to be that one. Okay? So, boys and girls, when you are done with those, you may turn over to the back and do the connect the dot and see what picture it makes. All right, boys and girls. So today we learned about halves and how there's so many things that could be a half. So boys and girls, my challenge to you is find something in your house that you could cut in half that mom and dad would let you cut. Maybe it's for lunch. Maybe it's one of your piece of paper. That's my challenge today. All right, boys and girls. See you later.